My guest today is Alice Ruhweza. Alice is the Regional Director for Africa for the WWF, the Worldwide Fund for Nature. And I'm going to ask her what she thinks the future of food in Africa might look like in a post COVID world.
The food system in Africa was already broken before COVID-19. I think it is important to note that even before COVID-19, we still had maybe over 200 million people going to bed hungry every night. We still have malnutrition issues. We still have stunting and wasting, many children being born with low birth weight, obesity rates now growing. We have slash and burn agriculture that is resulting in increased greenhouse gas emissions. We have food waste and food loss. We have conversion of land for agriculture leading to higher rates of deforestation. We also have farming systems that place livestock, wildlife, and people together, and it could easily result in diseases, just like COVID-19 jumping from animals to people. We already had illegal and unregulated wildlife trade, which most of that is for consumption, so bushmeat for consumption. And as if that is not enough, we have climate change, which has always been a big issue. Right now, we have a locust invasion in the Horn of Africa, which is really impacting on yields. So that was the food system before COVID-19. And COVID-19 now came in and clearly exacerbates that. It creates a perfect storm, really. In fact, the World Food Programme has estimated that an additional 130 million people could be pushed to the brink of starvation. And that is terrible because that means lives will be lost. That means malnutrition will rise, health will worsen, school enrollment will drop. All of that affects an economy's productive capacity. Lockdowns have blocked farmers from getting to the market, have cut off provisioning routes for food, restrictions in informal open-air markets, obviously because these are perceived to be risky. And so those, when they are closed, have resulted in an increase in food staple prices, rising food imports. It's amazing. I think we are estimated to import at least 50 billion this year. And I found this very staggering statistic that each $1 billion we spend on food imports is equivalent to the annual income of 334,000 farming households. So by importing food, we are taking away the money that could have supported that many households. It's huge. And the bigger paradox is the fact that Africa still has 60% of the remaining arable land in the world, but we are still importing food. Job losses in the informal sector are huge. They affect food because, as you can imagine, all this money is paying for daily meals. So Kenya's flour sector, for example, is estimated to lose about 60,000 workers because of the closure of the Dutch auction, and that is where they export their flours. So huge challenges there. And the loss of remittances, that has been a challenge. Remittances are 70% of GDP, and so they play an important role in people's lives and provide a source of income for daily meals. So all that at the moment is gone.
What do you think needs to be done? What should leaders be thinking as they think about the future of Africa?
I would like to see governments now prioritize policies that reduce the risks to food systems as part of their stimulus packages. We need to make food systems part of this and provide strengthen households' ability to withstand these shocks. We also need to make sure we prioritize a food future that coexists in harmony with nature. But also there's a lot of work around crop varieties that are resistant to climate change. That work needs to continue. Healthy diets. We have our traditional foods in Africa that for years and years, they've nourished us. And they're a core part of our culture and our cuisine. And I would like to see actually those be more prioritized now. And we even have what we call orphan crops that you may have heard about, millet, cassava, cowpeas. This is now time for us to actually come back to these traditional values and roots. We really want to be focusing on these vegetables and these orphan crops that I am talking about. And they are also uniquely adapted to the environment where they grow. The jobs agenda is a big one for our governments. It always has been. And the farming sector contributes about 60% of total employment in Africa. Africa is the youngest economy, has the largest number of youth. We do need to find jobs for them. And this agriculture sector is actually one that brings in a lot of opportunity for them. Gender inequality is very important. It's mostly women that are in farming. They're the ones who are tilling the land. And I think as markets, as we start to reopen, we need to address the constraints that women face: unequal access to land, access to mobile phones, access to technology, education, finance. All of those issues are extremely important. And I think last but not least, I would talk about the issue of food loss and waste. There is a lot of food loss and waste, and we need to address post-harvest losses. We need to address this because, the more food we waste, the more we till the land, the more we destroy the environment. So my last point is that we need an integrated approach. We need an integrated approach that brings all of these things I'm talking about together into one policy package.